Watchers in the Fourth Dimension.
Can't just leave him.
Face it, Tegan. He's drowned.
What have you been eating?
They're all dead, you know.
There should have been another way.
Hello and welcome back to Watchers in the Fourth Dimension. I'm Anthony.
I'm Diana.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Riley, and what is it about Earth people that makes them think a futile gesture is a noble one?
This episode, we're relying on nostalgia to kick off Season 21 as we see the return of both the Silurians and the Sea Devils in Warriors of the Deep. Surely this must be amazing, right? Right? But before we talk about that, Riley's going to take a quick look at the mail.
Thank you. We had some people write in about Modern Undead and Terminus, so let's dive right in. Modern Undead, our good friend Alan Seiler, writes, since someone else referenced it, here's a fun fact. Mark Strickson acted for a while after Doctor Who, but then studied zoology and moved into directing and filmmaking. He's made quite a career of doing nature documentaries for BBC, ITV, Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, etc. And it was he who started Steve Irwin on the path to stardom. But the way the Watchers were trashing this throughout, I was quite surprised at the decent scores it got in the end. I love this one. Nyssa and Tegan are both quite strong, especially Tegan. The pace is excellent, as is the case with many of the stories in this season. And the timey-wimey plot is a great deal of fun. I love the way, mostly in part 3, the story and the two time frames start to connect. And yes, Nyssa's outfit is a huge improvement. This is 8 throbbing spaghetti brains out of 10 for me. You'll find that is going to be a very common metric this go around.
I just had a very visceral reaction to the word throbbing.
Bill Stevens writes, hey Watchers, once the dissection of Ibbotson was over, great episode. Wow, he must have really not liked that part. J&T wanted each season 20 story to feature something from the Doctor's past, hence the Brig and the Black Guardian, and as the old saying goes, a bird on the head is worth two in Shepherd's Bush. The music is okay for me, and I'm amazed Julie didn't comment on the use of the BBC World Service theme, Lily Burlerow, as the 1977 Brigadier invites Tegan into his quarters. I had no idea that it had an official name, the BBC World Service theme.
I did not know that as well, so that's probably why I didn't mention it.
He goes on to say, I think Turlough confided in his headmaster as he thought he was speaking to the original Barusa from The Deadly Assassin, both looking just like actor Angus MacKay. That got a reaction.
We're adults, everybody.
Mark Strickson's pain is real as a shot glass was red hot on the palm of his hand. I don't know how it got that. I hope that wasn't a crew prank or something like that. Anthony is spot on about the atmosphere of an English public school in the 80s, and the flashbacks are just what us Gen Xers needed in the days before VHS, let alone streaming when references to the show's history was like gold dust. Like Riley, I love the time element, and this settles the issue of the unit dating controversy. 2 throwaway lines from Pyramids of Mars and Terror of the Zygons don't stop unit stories being set when broadcast. One of only 4 Davison stories set in contemporary Britain, this fan wank extravaganza gets 8.5 missing mustaches out of 10. Yeah, and a good metric. Kieran James Evans writes, sometimes I find time travel stories a bit indulgent, but as they are fairly rare in Classic Who, I don't mind that element of the plot here. Turlough is an odd character. Still, Mark Strickson did give us Steve Irwin. Again, I did look that up. It was quite surprising. So I'm glad everyone else told me, and that's how I found out about it.
That means that Mark Strickson gave me my career as well.
Wow.
I got my degree because of Steve Irwin.
Perhaps we should be kinder to Turlough?
I now officially love Turlough.
Okay. While the Brig is an odd fit for this story, it's nice to see Courtney back. Davison is having a mixed story, some great interactions with Courtney, but the end of part 3 is not delivered with much conviction. 7 out of 10, guess what? Spaghetti brains for school dinner.
Hey.
Over on Instagram, Doctor Who 60s, 70s, and 80s writes, totally agree with Julie that Turlough's alien origins are not clear at all. As a kid watching this, I had no idea. However, come on, Julie. First Harry and now Turlough. Give the lads a break.
You have to be worth it, man. You have to be worth it.
Mark Strickson is fantastic as Turlough, and the idea of having a companion who wants to kill the Doctor is a great idea. I agree with the second part. The Whovian gal writes in with totally in agreement with the Watchers this time around. I like Modern Undead a lot more than I would thanks to the presence of the Brigadier and all the timey-wimey stuff. But Turlough, I, all caps, hate him so much. And unlike Anthony, I don't think he improves with time. Now we're going to move over to our Discord, which I do frequent sometimes. I just recently moved, so I will talk to you people more. I'm sorry, I have a whole new house to set up. Anyway, over at Discord, Bearder Beatnik writes in with, Watchers, you are on top form with this one. Riley, fantastic summation. Anthony, excellent behind-the-scenes info. Diana had a spot-on take of it's awful, but I'd love it anyway. And Julie took all my thoughts and put them into words so well. So I have nothing to add except my score for the story, 6 out of 10, throbbing spaghetti brains. There they go again. Stacy Custer writes, Riley said it best. If loving this one's wrong, I don't want to be right. Pretty sure that almost everything I thought while watching this was said. I love this episode while knowing it's not really good. My deep and abiding love for the Brigadier will never die, so anything that he is in is already good no matter how bad. My favorite Doctor moment in this is when he greets the Brig. His smile of pleasure and the way he says the Brig's full name and title gives me warm fuzzies. My question regarding the Brigadier's line about Hippo's disgusting body is, who did they write that line for? If Ian was supposed to be the character used, that would have been out of character for him to say as well. So why did they write the line? It exhibits a lack of understanding of either character they would have been writing for. I was always under the impression that Tegan and Nyssa thought the Burn Man could be the Doctor because he'd regenerated again. They both seemed 4 transformed into 5 and thought he'd done it again, but the transmat had affected it. Which is why they mentioned not having the Zero Room to help stabilize him, since that was such a big part of the one regeneration they had witnessed. I was surprised no one mentioned that the Black Guardian is also the voice of Deep Thought Computer in an audio recording of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I listened to that recording so much when I was in high school, and all I can hear when the Black Guardian talks to Turlo is Deep Thought yelling at some stupid redhead. 8 lovely Brigadiers out of 10. And now we're going to move over to Terminus, where Nicholas Rutherford writes, to quote JNT, memory cheats. When I watched this 5 years ago, I thought it was utterly tedious. This time I enjoyed it more. Yes, it's slow and the depiction of leprosy is out of date, even in 1983, but I like the character moments. For example, Turlo asking Tegan if she could kill someone. And Norse names? Why not? Just shows you have to be in the mood for some stories. P.S. I saw Eliza Goddard as an 18th century Scottish ghost in a theater play called The Croft, not The Craft, The Croft, this year, and she was really good. Adam Quinton Wright writes in, the fact that Eliza Goddard is Colin Baker's ex-wife just makes me realize how small the world of Who is. Terminus would have worked as a zombie story for me. I hate the sidelight treatment of Tegan. I love the Garm. Yes, he is a nice robot doggy. Nyssa should have been the Fifth Doctor's only companion. Very strong take there. And he gives it 6 out of 10 big red levers. Fishmonger writes in with, Terminus. It happened. 2 out of 10 fans pelting Riley with tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Riley, what did you do?
I slightly support Terminus, I guess.
Yeah, you did give it a 7 when the rest of us gave it 3s and 2s. So.
A 7. Next time, I'm just going to go full 8 or 9s to make you people angry. Start sending those tomatoes. War Chief Marvin, who I don't think we've had written in before, writes, I'd like to jump to the defense of the actress who played Kari, whom it was suggested should be in the running for the worst supporting actress. To all Australian kids of the 70s, she is very much beloved for playing Clancy in the much repeated series Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Oh, I remember Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Oh.
That got a ton of repeats on British children's television in the 90s.
Okay. I just love the title. It's an iconic show which was almost certainly superior to Zed Cars. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. As the main and usually only female in the show, with her masterful acting and thick English accent, she was adored by all Aussie males under the age of 10. I believe she was also briefly married to one of the doctors, making her the equivalent of Lala Ward. Are the two of them the only people to both star in Doctor Who and marry one of the doctors? Kudos to...
No.
Mm-mm.
Georgia Tennant / Moffat / technically Davison, because Davison is his stage name. But
Right.
yeah, Pete Davison's daughter married David Tennant. Still married to him. They're adorable.
Yeah.
Kudos to Anthony for sticking up for her, a man who clearly recognizes talent. Terminus rocks. 7 out of 10 iconic Aussie actresses. So there's some support for this story. Joseph Stubb writes, a great podcast episode about a divisive story. I am pulled both ways a lot throughout the story. Nyssa's exit, the entire leper plot, and the continuing misadventures of Turlo leave a bad taste in my mouth. But the story also has some great side characters and a cool atmosphere. Those things aren't enough to save all of the bad things, but there are much worse stories in Classic Who, some that you have already covered and some that are yet to come. Yay. Overall, I give Terminus 4 out of 10 problematic disease names. And then we have someone else who I don't think has written in before, Dan LB 2000. I don't know if that would be Dan Pounds 2000. I don't know.
I think that might be Dan Boris, who's written in a few times.
Okay. Well, he writes in to say, I first saw this episode as a teenage boy with a major crush on Sarah Sutton. So it was the best Doctor Who episode I had ever seen. 11 discarded pieces of clothing out of 10.
Oh, no.
And to wrap it all up, our friend R.L. Gray writes in simply with, dang, I am behind. And that's it. That's the mail.
Thank you for that, Riley. And as a reminder to our listeners, we really do love getting your feedback, thoughts, comments, and questions. And as you've just heard, we do try to read out as many as possible on the show. So please do get in touch. You can contact us through Facebook and Instagram at Watchers4D, or you can email us at watchers4d@gmail.com. You can also interact with all four of us on our Discord server. You did just hear Riley promise to be more active, and an invite link to that is in the show blurb. Additionally, we would love it if you subscribe to the podcast if you're not doing so already, and if you dropped us a review or rating on your podcast platform of choice. Those things really do help us out in terms of visibility of the show. And with that, we're going to go behind the scenes on Warriors of the Deep. Now, having completed work on Season 20's Arc of Infinity in early 1982, writer Johnny Byrne began developing ideas for Season 21. The directive that he was given by the production team was that Season 21 would place a stronger emphasis on monsters, in contrast to the previous year's focus on individual villains. Producer John Nathan Turner was keen to repeat the success of the Cybermen's return in Season 19's Earthshock by mining Doctor Who's past for other monsters. Script editor Eric Saywood was a lot more skeptical of these efforts to appeal to the program's fans, but he agreed that this would be a suitable approach for the season premiere, which was the slot being eyed for Byrne's contribution. With this consideration, Byrne proposed bringing back the Sea Devils, not seen in the show since their debut in Season 9, and the production team was excited by this idea and suggests that Byrne pair them with their landbound cousins, the Silurians, who we haven't seen since their debut in Season 7. So for the latter, we're going back 14 years. Byrne began working on his storyline around June 1982. This time, the Cold War was still ongoing between the Western powers and the Soviet Union, and Byrne wanted to explore the dynamics of a world in which two extremely powerful blocs sat in opposition, with each waiting for the other to pull the trigger. In particular, he was interested in the notion that the people in charge of the weapons might not be reliable in an atmosphere of such heightened tension. In developing his ideas, Byrne drew upon various elements of the science fiction show Space 1999, which he had script edited in the mid-70s. In particular, the 1975 episode The Guardian of Piri by Christopher Penfold had also featured a character who could interface with computers via an implant. Byrne was commissioned to write Warriors of the Deep in mid-September 1982. He prepared for the assignment by watching Doctor Who and the Silurians and the Sea Devils, and quickly decided that the Silurians should be portrayed as the leaders, while the Sea Devils would operate more in the manner of elite foot soldiers. He asked Saywood if he could use Earthshock as a model. Byrne had been impressed with its action-oriented style and wanted to try his hand at a similar type of story. Byrne intentionally avoided identifying his narrative's two power blocks, and to this end he implied a variety of nationalities among the sea-based personnel. After delivering the draft scripts for the story at the start of 1983, Byrne left the UK for work in the USA, rendering him unavailable for further rewrites. Unfortunately, Saywood subsequently discovered that the episodes were badly mistimed and in some instances running almost double the required length. After discussing the situation with Byrne by telephone, Saywood set to work revising the serial by himself, and for a brief time it became known as Warriors of the Deeps, plural.
Okay.
Among his deletions were scenes from the point of view of the crew aboard the probe dispatched from the sea base, which was destroyed by the Myrka. In the process, Saywood addressed criticism levied by Ian Levine. He was, of course, functioning as the production office's unofficial fan advisor and felt that Byrne had not accurately captured the spirit of the classic monsters. Saywood also named a couple of the monsters, Tarpok, who in Byrne's original scripts was actually called Tanpon with an N.
No.
Can see why that one got renamed, and Skibbus. And in the process of rewriting Warriors of the Deep, Saywood made the adventure much more bloodthirsty than Byrne had intended. Ichthar, Vorshak, and Preston had all survived in Byrne's version, but Saywood killed them off in an attempt to portray the brutality of the events. Upon receiving Saywood's amendments, Byrne was dismayed by what had become of his serial, although he felt that there was nothing he could do to fix his concerns. His relationship with the production office cooled considerably after that, and a further storyline that he was developing called The Guardians of Prophecy was dropped, and he never returned to Doctor Who. Despite Nathan Turner's preference for seeking out new directors for the show, Pennant Roberts was hired for Warriors of the Deep. Nathan Turner had consulted him when he was investigating the use of clips from Shada, which was Roberts' last Doctor Who story, which of course was abandoned due to strike action in 1979, but footage was used for the 20th anniversary special The Five Doctors. Nathan Turner developed confidence in Roberts and invited him back to Doctor Who. As in the past, Roberts sought to find more roles for women in Warriors of the Deep, and the result was the casting of Ingrid Pitt as Solo, whom Byrne had previously envisaged as an elderly male. Joining Roberts' behind-the-scenes team, we have Michael Darbin as production manager, making his first and only contribution to the show. He's best known for his work as an assistant producer on EastEnders, working on 296 episodes. As designer, we have Tony Burrow returning to the show for the fourth time, and he previously designed Season 18's The Keeper of Traken and both Four to Doomsday and Black Orchid from Season 19. As costume designer, we have the only contribution to the show of Judy Pepperdine, and she's best known for her work on the BBC Narnia adaptations from the late 80s and early 90s. And rounding out the team, we have Jonathan Gibbs as composer, who we previously saw as co-composer with Peter Howell on Season 20's The King's Demons. Sadly, it was Howell who was responsible for the epic song in that story. Production on Warriors of the Deep did not go smoothly. The first signs of this were when Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher called a snap election, which was to take place in June 1983, taking advantage of her popularity in the wake of the Falklands War. The announcement caught BBC planning by surprise, and facilities had to be swiftly reallocated to accommodate election coverage. Among the casualties of this development was Warriors of the Deep. Nathan Turner was informed that the studio block would have to be brought forward by a week, or else the serial would have been cancelled. Not sure that would have been a bad thing, to be honest. Anyway, a labour dispute had resulted in the loss of one story, Saywood's own The Return from Season 20, and Nathan Turner was determined that Season 21 would not be similarly abbreviated. Left with no other option, the producer agreed to accommodate the new dates. This decision was met with trepidation by the visual effects department, and they raised concern that the costume for the Myrka could not be completed within the revised schedule. To make matters worse, Matt Irvine, the visual effects designer assigned to Warriors of the Deep, would be delayed by his commitments to The Odd Job Man, which had fallen behind schedule. Adding to the chaos was the realization that filming at Ealing would no longer be possible, both because the crew would be required to cover the election and because of scheduled maintenance to repair a leak in the water tank. No alternative dates were available, which meant that Roberts would have to make other arrangements at very short notice. Once filming actually began, problems with the costumes for both monster species became quickly evident. Ventilation was poor for the actors within, exacerbated by the heat wave afflicting England at the time. Furthermore, the Silurian outfits had a tendency to buckle around the neck, which resulted in the mask being improperly fitted to the body on some occasions. The Sea Devil's large webbed feet hindered mobility, and their helmets were too heavy, which caused the head to tilt to one side and obscure the actor's vision. However, all of this paled in comparison to the difficulties that Roberts faced with the Myrka. The monster had been designed in the style of a pantomime horse. It required two operators, one positioned at either end of the costume. Roberts had sought out John Asquith and William Perry to play the Myrka because they routinely operated Dobbin, a traditional pantomime horse, for the BBC children's show Rent-A-Ghost. The costume was supposed to be ready in time to give Asquith and Perry an opportunity to rehearse with it before they went in front of the cameras the next day. That very day, however, the BBC Visual Effects Department informed Nathan Turner that the changes to the production schedule for Warriors of the Deep had left insufficient time to finish the Myrka. Scenes involving the monster would have to be postponed to the second studio block. Nathan Turner, in turn, told visual effects that this was unacceptable. Given the constraints under which Roberts was already operating, it was not possible to alter his plans to such an extent. He demanded that the Myrka be made available for recording the next day, no matter what condition it was in. Effects assistant Stuart Murdoch worked tirelessly to get the Myrka ready, but by the time cameras began rolling, the paint was still drying, and Janet Fielding's outfit soon became stained through contact with the Myrka, causing a delay while it was replaced. Furthermore, Asquith and Perry, who had not had time to rehearse in it, found the costume very difficult to manipulate, and so the Myrka was not nearly as mobile as expected. As a result, many of the scenes involving the monster came across as having been very awkwardly staged. This included Solo's bizarre, exaggerated karate lunge, an element which Pitt had suggested based upon her own knowledge of the martial arts. We will get back to that. Despite all the difficulties, a distinctly unhappy Roberts persevered and completed the scenes in the detention area, Airlock 1, and the corridor where the Myrka was defeated. So, with production finally wrapped, for season 21, Doctor Who was once again being broadcast twice a week. In season 19, it aired on Mondays and Tuesdays. In season 20, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And now it was scheduled on Thursday and Friday nights. And this resulted in the story being broadcast between the 5th and 13th of January 1984. But by the time part 1 of the story was broadcast, it was already decided this would be the final year for the twice-weekly schedule. Since the BBC now rarely aired half-hour dramas, it was thought that a move to a weekly 45-minute time slot might freshen the appeal of Doctor Who for season 22. And with that, we will move into our short summary, which is with Julie this episode. Good luck making sense of this mess, Julie.
Dear listeners, as it's been a little bit of time since I watched these episodes, I got a little bit of help, so have fun with the summary. In this story, the Doctor lands on an underwater military base where everyone is stressed, sweaty, and surprisingly bad at security. Soon the Silurians and Sea Devils show up to reclaim the Earth, apparently by staging a slow-moving amphibious coup. The Doctor spends most of the story trying to stop humans and reptiles from blowing each other up, only to be thwarted repeatedly by a murderous Myrka that looks like a pantomime horse dipped in algae. In the end, peace talks fail spectacularly, the base becomes an accidental death trap, and the Doctor is left sighing the most exhausted, there should have been another way in TV history. And that's about the effort that I wanted to take for the summary. Back to you, Anthony.
Wow, that lack of effort is actually quite fitting for this story.
Which is why I knew Julie was doing the short summary. I was expecting Warriors of the Deep short summary to be in the style of Rolling in the Deep by Adele.
Damn, Julie.
If it was worth it, I might have. But guess what? It wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. Part 1.
I really enjoyed the 2-tier sets that you see, and the crisp white set design feels very reminiscent of Cloud City and Empire Strikes Back, and I feel like that's what they were trying to go for because it contrasts really, really well off of the greens and browns that you get from the Silurians, the Sea Devils, and the Myrka. So that it contrasts there, it looks sharp, the sets look good. That's something positive to say.
And that's it.
No, I have another good positive that off the jump of this, the miniature work in this story is excellent.
Yes, it is.
They use a lot of really good miniatures. It's what makes it slightly frustrating with what happens in the story because it's set up so well. The sets are honestly really nice. I thought that the setup was so good that you get in the beginning of the atmosphere of everything that's going into it.
Yeah, and I like the costuming. I like the colors. I like the brightness. Again, it's that stark white. You've got everyone in bright colors, and I'll even go with some of that. Now, I will say the lighting was awful.
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely times when I was like, are we in shadow in some of these scenes? It was very, very odd to see given that we were in such bright white sets.
And it's weird. At times it feels underlit and at other times it feels overlit. I mean, I'm going to jump ahead a little here, but once the assault on the sea base actually began, they should have had an excuse for a power cut and dimmed the fuck out of those lights. Now, dear listener, before we go any further, you're hearing a lot of negativity about this story already. What I do want to say is I had not told the gang about this story's reputation. So before we go any further, I'm just going to put this in context for my co-hosts here. In DWM's Mighty 200 poll, this came in at 185th.
Wow. Okay.
Making it the 15th worst story. In the 50th anniversary survey, it came in at 226th out of 241.
I love that.
So again, 15th worst.
Consistency. You got to give it credit for consistency there.
So what I will say, though, is the King's Demons came below this.
Fair.
As did Time Flight.
That's the Fifth Doctor era that we know and love.
I'll throw another positive thing out, but it kind of reiterates what I've already said a little bit. Knowing that the Silurians and the Sea Devils were going to be in this, I love the concept of the Silurians and the Sea Devils so much. They've always been one of my favorite classic villains, even before the Silurians and, now the Sea Devils are showing up in modern Who. The concept of them, I think, is so cool that it forgives a lot of the bad choices that get made, because I like any time that they're used, because I like their concept.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I also like the concept, but you weren't around for when we covered the stories. But my thoughts on the Silurians, well, that was probably the issue, that was when we had very bad synth that was being used at the time. I wanted to stab something. I'm not entirely sure what. And then I was not a big fan of the Sea Devils, but again, not from a concept perspective, but I didn't like how it ended up happening. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, great, they're working together. That's a really neat idea. And then it was not what I wanted it to be.
Julie, I'm going to call you on your bullshit a little bit here.
Did I give the Sea Devils an actual decent score?
You gave the Sea Devils an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised.
The Silurians, on the other hand, you gave the lowest score out of the four of us, and you gave that a 4.5. So I will give you that one, but you quite liked the Sea Devils.
Interesting. I don't remember liking it, but okay.
I want to call out some positives here as well. In addition, the personnel on the sea base are all extremely stressed, except for our comic book villains. You have Maddox, who is clearly falling apart at the seams, thrust into a situation that he is not prepared to be in because someone mysteriously died. The tension here is good, actually. I will give it that. The tension is really, really good in part one.
Maybe they could have improved upon that by keeping the mystery going a little bit longer, or perhaps making it not seem so obvious. That would have really helped if we had the external force of the Silurians and the Sea Devils causing conflict and pressure one way, and then who are the traitors on the inside, and have that really come together. And I guess that's what they wanted to do, was just not executed very, very well. And also, I would like to throw in my enjoyment of the Sea Devils as well, because just for plainly, I just love their look. I love the look of them. I can't quite figure out, though, what animal are they supposed to resemble? Like a sea turtle?
I think they're supposed to be turtles, yeah.
Okay, all right, because it took me a while to figure that out.
Which perplexed me, because in my soul, Sea Devils are actually supposed to be based off fish. And I don't know where my soul got that information, but it was very perplexing the whole time. I had to reframe that they're reptiles.
It's also weird because you don't think of sea turtles as being fighting all that much.
Yeah.
I want to be friends with turtles, and I don't necessarily want to be friends with the Sea Devils. It's fine.
Julie, let me introduce you to a snapping turtle.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only one. Okay, fine. And a friend of mine really loves to play with snapping turtles. I find it a concerning problem of his, but he can do what he wants. One other good thing, I do like the amount of women that they have in the story, and that they gave them roles. They actually have things to do. They are varying. You have different types of women who are in the story, and I really appreciated that. Now, some of them were they utilized as they should have been? Probably not. But I'll take any time when we decide to add women instead of just making it a man just simply because the writer said it was a man.
Minus the zoom in butt shot.
I completely forgot that Ingrid Pitt was in this because I couldn't recognize her.
Yeah.
Because of the makeup. And it was so funny is that when I saw her name in the credits, I think in the first part or second part credits, I remember we did a Halloween episode and she was in it. And then when I was doing the roll call of people in those horror movies that would later on be on Doctor Who, I remember mentioning her because she was also in, I think, The Time Monster.
She was.
And I remember mentioning, and we'll see her in Warriors of the Deep. I had a little bit more hope than about Warriors of the Deep when I read that out maybe 2 years ago, but here we are.
Also, were you disappointed that there weren't as much boobs on display?
Well, I mean,
They were very much on display in The Time Monster.
Right.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Riley calling out the makeup, the 80s makeup does her no favors.
It doesn't do anyone favors.
No.
And it's on full display here.
And it seems mostly the eyebrows is the problem.
It's also the weird yellows of eyeshadow as well.
It's the eyes. It's the
Yeah.
makeup around the eyes. Absolutely.
And blue eyeshadow is always tough, no matter how badly the 80s loved it.
And also the hairstyle as well does her
Yeah.
no favors.
Mhm.
I just enjoyed that the makeup was something that was equally terrible on both the men and the women. It was like everyone in this culture at this time period in humanity, just everyone went in on this look.
Well, apparently there's just like a standard Cold War look.
I guess.
Since this new Cold War seems to follow the makeup of the 80s in our Cold War.
It's funny because they kind of all look like they've been shot with Homer's makeup shotgun. I don't know if anyone remembers that from The Simpsons, but it does kind of look like
Nice.
that.
I did also love all of their underwater uniform suits that they were wearing. They all kind of reminded me of Powerline.
Yeah, it is elements other than the lighting, which was brought up. Visually, it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Visually.
And actually, I think from a plot perspective, even though we see a little more of the Silurians and the Sea Devils than we should, I actually like how this first episode goes. The Dr. Tegan and Turlo land on this sea base. They are clearly not meant to be there and spend a lot of it running around, kind of trying to duck triggering security and finding toxic gases and that kind of thing. It feels like it should, rather than them walking in and being like, "Hi, I'm the doctor and I'm here to help."
Mm-hmm.
So here we have some other things that bugged me, though, from part one. How the Silurians call their aquatic cousins sea devils. That's a human term for them. Don't like that.
Shouldn't they be called aqua homo?
You just had to. You had to.
I could. It literally debuts a week from now in England, and we don't get it in America until, I think, sometime in 2026. But I just had to mention that. I look forward to the redo of Warriors of the Deep where they change all the lines and go back in time and change it. Enjoy Warriors of the Deep while you can in its original form.
I'm fairly certain they wouldn't be called aqua homo or homo aqua, whichever way around it is, in their language either, because I'm sure they don't speak Latin. But as we get to the end of part one, the Doctor is casually engaging in some light sabotage to keep everyone on their tails busy. They get busted. There's a little fight. The Doctor falls into the water and
everyone gives him up for dead in 2 seconds.
yeah.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Light?
Yeah.
Yeah, light
Light-
sabotage.
Light? Setting the reactor to overload is considered light sabotage?
Yeah, just casual Tuesday sabotage.
Oh my God. That's the worst part. He has no idea they're capable of fixing that. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how smart they are or how able they are to do that.
In part two, Turlo does get it right, where he says, "Trust me, if he wanted to break the reactor, it would be in pieces at your feet."
I don't necessarily give this doctor that much credit.
Our cliffhanger here is Turlo saying, "Face it, Tegan, he's drowned."
After
Right.
2 seconds, like a baby can hold their breath longer than that.
Before we move on, I will give a credit to the Fifth Doctor. There was that little action bit there with the guard where he does a little trick, and then after he knocks him out and hits him, he says, "I'm so sorry. That was good. That was Doctor-like."
Ooh.
So, not Doctor... he didn't become a doctor. Just Doctor-like.
Well, we'll come back to that at the end of the story, Riley. We will
Okay.
ask the question again.
Couple things. So in part two, we get a lot more of the Sea Devils and the Silurians talking to each other.
Hmm.
I almost fell asleep. It's so boring. Their mouths don't move, and I get that their little things light up because that's how they're talking. But oh my gosh, I can't stand it. It's just, I hear words, I'm seeing nothing moving, they're standing around, and it's so bad.
Maybe they should gesture more.
Actually, Julie, I'm going to say that's dumb, because that light on the Silurian's head is meant to be a third eye. We saw that before, and now it lights up when they're speaking like the lights on top of the goddamn Daleks. What the hell, production team?
That and the Sea Devils are, the actors are looking out of their necks with
Yes,
these tall
yes.
ass faces on their heads. And so I did clock they were all kind of leaning to the left a little bit.
Derp, 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 derp.
That actually would be great. Please, someone take that audio clip and just overplay that for all Sea Devil lines.
Not even that, just every time you've got one leaning kind of awkwardly. Derp, derp, derp.
But one of the other things that I didn't like about this iteration of the Sea Devils was the entirety of the costuming was all made out of different textures of the same very dark black. And cameras can't pick up texture differences, especially on black, very easily. And so it makes them all blend together and you have a really hard time seeing their faces.
That's good.
And distinctive characteristics throughout any of this story, which is a shame because I like the Sea Devils' faces. I like that terrapin look to them. And also the samurai outfits.
Oh, the helmets.
If you're going to do a costume set that poorly, at least do your own culture's costume set that poorly, because it looked like they made that shit out of cardboard and slapped some paint on it.
Which, to be fair, is probably exactly what they did.
Which you're probably correct, but at least to do some like Anglo-Saxon shit, not the poor samurais.
This is how bad I am, literally in my notes, all caps. I love their samurai helmets. There's something with just that helmet. Basically, any sort of human helmet on a creature like that is going to be very interesting and amusing to me. I don't know why. I don't know, but it does.
I can't remember the context here, but I do have a line in my notes that says, did we just get... Oh, I do remember the context. When the Doctor gets into that guy's...
Or when he strips.
protective gear.
Because the Doctor strips.
And there's the whole, what have you been eating? Did we get a fart joke in the middle of what is
Yeah,
otherwise a
that was
very
weird.
serious episode?
Uh-huh. And we got a follow-up to it from Tegan.
Yep. All right, cool. Just making sure I wasn't imagining that was indeed a fart joke.
We had a stripping Doctor in fart jokes.
Mm-hmm.
This story
doing
is
great.
wild, guys.
Yes.
I did just find my note that said, what the fuck is wrong with their necks, though?
I had one that was is one of the Sea Devils walking around drunk.
I mean,
So
probably.
I kept looking for the Sea Devils. I would watch this story again just to play this game again, watching the Sea Devil extras in the background, because it was so clear how difficult those costumes were to maneuver in. And I kept looking for the like stormtrooper hitting his head on the ceiling moment in the background, because there's one in the background somewhere.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Questionable choices were made here, guys.
Yeah.
I do think that week when everything got pushed up led to a good amount of at least the costume issues and some of these other issues that they weren't able to figure out and dice out. And that's a shame because, again, the beginning had some credit. I want to give them some credit because I like the setup, but it's just executed so poorly.
And one thing I really don't like, and it became very apparent in this episode, is how the Sea Devils are reclassified as the warriors of the reptile paradigm.
Right.
Yeah.
Before they were a fully autonomous race, now they are just the foot soldiers for the Silurians.
Yeah, I didn't care for that either.
I did not. That was unfortunate.
Because that could have led to a lot more of an interesting dynamic there between having two species like that and human beings, and two of them both have animosity to human beings. But maybe there could have been a plot line of the humans having more of an inroad with one of them and maybe getting them to kind of not necessarily turn on each other, but cause a little bit of tension in between them instead of them just immediately being at the beck and call of the Silurians.
Yep.
I did think it was interesting with the viewpoint of, I always like it when the group that's like, don't colonize me, is also colonizing somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And really showing that that's something that so many cultures do, but we don't like it when it happens to us.
Honestly, the way the Sea Devils and the Silurians are portrayed really bugs me constantly through this story. So the Doctor initially says all the Silurians want to do is live in peace. Well, no, their politics were way more complicated than that. There was a lot of nuance and differing opinions. Then the Doctor tells Vorshak that the Silurians actually see humans as ape-descended primitives who are an evolutionary aberration and should be wiped out. Wait, I thought you just said they want to live in peace. Now you're saying they want to wipe everyone out. Then, by the time we're in part 4, and I realize I'm skipping ahead here, but this is all part of my rant, part of my anger. When the gas is being released to kill them all, the Doctor tries to defend them, even though they have just told him that they plan on wiping out humanity. And then the Silurians reiterate that they have no interest in any discourse in resolving the situation. There's literally a point in this where the Doctor even says they're not monsters, and they go, well, actually, we are now. Sorry. It's really bad and inconsistent with the history of these. I know behind the scenes, Johnny Byrne apparently rewatched those 2 stories, but did he though?
And maybe rewatch them and then, I don't really like this, so I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Basically, he just wanted to recreate Earthshock, and that doesn't allow for a monster with any form of nuance.
Which is too bad, because there could have been some really interesting nuance in entities who recognized that we've given these humans ample opportunity and it's radicalized this small group. Yeah. And that could have been a really interesting and accurate portrayal of what happens to, marginalized communities. But it fell flat and it didn't quite explore as far as they could have, which makes sense with all the turmoil behind the scenes and everything. But I think it was the thing that I found odd about this whole story is from the setup to the costuming, the makeup, the potential characters, everything was so good, except that it wasn't. And nothing truly delivered.
Yeah, the inconsistencies, poor execution, that seems to be where everything kind of falls apart. But while that is problematic, maybe I'm just a sucker for silly costumes. I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. Visually, it was fun, other than, of course, those dialogue scenes where no lips are moving and they're not really gesturing. It's the Sea Devils talking with the Silurians. But the Myrka was fun at the end of part 2. I mean, it didn't look awesome, but it was fun. It was silly fun.
So let's talk about the Myrka, because it gets unleashed in part 2. And that's effectively how we end. It breaks in, Tegan gets trapped under the falling door, and it's starting its rampage, and we get Tegan and the Doctor closed in with it.
Do we call it a rampage?
A stationary rampage.
A very shuffling rampage.
It's what happens when reptiles are too cold.
Yeah. And that takes us into part 3. And I'm going to give Turlo some credit. He gets his hero moment here. He holds up the bridge, demands that the bulkhead is opened, and actually gets his way.
Yeah, which is surprising because it feels like for the most of this serial, he's constantly leaving people behind.
I love it. He's this first chance he gets through the first 2 episodes. Nope, they're dead. Let's go. There's no
exactly.
option.
Someone walks by.
He fell into the water. Doesn't even give him a chance. He's dead.
That person got a splinter. Nope, they're dead.
Yeah.
Leave them. Can't help them.
That looks like a grievous wound. We should probably go.
And then he suddenly grows a pair.
Yes.
And gets some convictions. Okay, all right. Timing, Turlo. Could have happened earlier, but good on you for finally getting there.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us Steve Irwin.
Yes, absolutely that. All right, can we talk about Solo in Myrka? Because I have, do you have something about Solo before she gets to the Myrka? Because
we were talking about Turlo and unexpected character moments. How about Solo having a martial arts background? Did not expect that.
Was it though? Was that a martial arts background?
And what really gets me on that was apparently Ingrid Pitt's idea.
Awesome.
Sometimes when an actor comes to the production with an idea, should really say no. This was one of those instances.
Yeah, some of that was weird. I think, we were talking about how some of the set design is good and things like that. I think, though, from a directional standpoint, there were weird camera angles being chosen. But again, because the Myrka had some problems, I feel like that's where some of those weird camera angles came from. And I just had lots of questions of, wow, that was done. And one thing I didn't mention before, but I don't know if any of y'all noticed, when they were in the bridge, there was this low-level buzz that happened the entire time.
Huh.
And it was one of those things where I didn't notice at first. And then I was like, I hear something. I thought it was my refrigerator, so I paused. And I was like, well, it's not the fridge. That's the show. After I started to notice it, I couldn't not notice it. And it drove me crazy.
Welcome to having some form of neurodivergence, Julie. I can't stand fluorescent lights. I hear them. even if they're working fine. Diana, you get that too, right?
I do.
Yeah.
All electronics make a noise and it drives me nuts.
So anyway, part 3 for me is where this all really falls apart. Because not only have we had the weird karate against the Myrka, we have a scene where the doctor says, I know how to deal with the Myrka. Vorshak says, but I should have you shot. And then he says, actually, okay, deal with the Myrka. He changed his tune very, very quickly. And then we have the humans just casually standing in a line to be gunned down by the Sea Devils when they break in. No attempts at barricades, no hiding around corners. Pennant Roberts, I know this was a difficult shoot, but what the actual fuck were you doing?
I definitely was like, did those people just fall over?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what?
That said, the Myrka has some serious junk in that trunk. It shimmies along, shaking its butt like it really wants some attention.
That's why I thought it looked so much like Snuffleupagus, is because Snuffleupagus has some junk in the trunk.
Yeah.
You know, she's a baddie. And I definitely thought the Myrka was kind of a little baddie. It was too bad that she was actually a baddie.
Not an Instagram baddie, just an actual bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah, she could have been. Just give her some eyelashes. It would have been fantastic.
I'm here for it. Wondering how we can do this using AI now.
No. I was kept wondering, and obviously they're not going to give it to me, and that's fine. I'll just live with my frustration. Why was it electric? They all said that the Myrka had this like electric power.
Oh,
and how?
I guess it's like related to electric eels.
Maybe.
Those aren't reptiles. Those
I
are
know.
fish. If they had all been fish, I would have been happy because that would have worked. Ugh.
I like the fact that we're about to get into part 4, and 2 things have struck me over our conversation. One is that one of the main important characters for the plot, Maddox, barely talked about it. And I think that is indicative of just a poor plot device in that character. Secondly, I find it very interesting. I'm going to ask this question. Nobody, don't look at your notes. Don't look it up. Could any of you, except for maybe Anthony, name all 3 of the Silurians involved in the story?
Oh, hell, even I can't do that.
Iktar, son of Reptar, is one of them.
Yeah.
And he was the only one that talked the most. So,
And then they tried to tie it back to the original Silurian story because they're like, oh yeah, you were there. I'm like, is anyone in the audience going to remember the name of the Silurian?
Oh, sure. That was Rishbam or Dingbar or Flimflam. It's one of those 3.
and Iktar circles back around to my frustration that these aren't fucking fish, because the ik is the
Right.
is fish. It's
Yes,
it's
yes.
like
And I did just look it up. The other 2 are Tarpok, formerly known as Tampon,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
Skibus, or Skibus, or Skybus. I don't care at this point.
Before we jump into 4, because I can feel in the energy that that's where we're about to head, I had a moment in this where I had to pause the show and I ranted to my cat for about 30 minutes.
Was the cat sympathetic?
She doesn't give a fuck about anything. Are you kidding? She's like, why this bitch talking to me? When they were all hunkered down in the room, I don't know, with the gas or whatever, and the doctor knocks over the wrench and gets them all discovered. I know they're going to get discovered anyway, whatever. Is it a gag? Yes. Is it supposed to be there for the humor? Yes. And okay, I understand that. This doctor has such low stats. He can't really fight. He's given up for dead 2 seconds in the water. He knocks over he has no stealth stats. He has no constitution. You know, he's such a bad no gun run kind of character. And I'm so fucking frustrated with it because he can't even use his connections because he apparently knows Iktar, son of Reptar, and from his previous excursions with them, and he can't even use that to make anything look good in this story. The doctor is absolutely the worst.
I mean, to be fair, I think his connection would be like, hey, remember when my buddy the Brigadier tried to genocide you all?
Yeah, but he's got to be able to work something. Even if it all goes tits up at the end, he's got no foothold in this whole, every time he's like, he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't have an angle. He doesn't have a play. He doesn't have a scheme. He's
clearly a step behind the whole time.
right. He's not even an agent in his own story. It's like we were talking about before when we revisited some of the older Doctors, either through the animations that we saw or through the anniversary episode. All the other ones, and particularly the first one, you just had a sense that he always knew something going on that no one else knew. The other characters or us, the audience. I look at the Fifth Doctor, I think he has just about as no idea what's going to happen next as I do.
Yeah, others seem to go on adventures and these things happen to him.
Yeah. A great point. Yeah, that's an excellent point. On a lighter note, I believe that if we wanted to, we could have started a new metric in this serial, and that metric would be the record for how many times a person is boosted into or exiting a duct. Because I feel like that happens like 15 times in part 4.
Well, there's that. And I also did kind of want to do like a how many people died count, because this is one of those situations where it was almost like kind of third Doctor era when we had all those shootouts with Unit that I was just like, everyone died. Oh my gosh.
And here I was thinking you were going to say the number of people that die from excessive mucus.
Yeah, yes.
Very quickly before we talk about that, just to completely misquote the Ninth Doctor, just this once roars, everyone dies.
Now,
Love it.
and one thing I want to touch on, okay, we talked about earlier how Turlough had his moment, right? He was actually willing to try and save the Doctor and all that. Immediately in part 4, he's like, nope, just let the Doctor die. It's fine. Excuse me, what, Turlough? You're just going to have that one redeeming quality and then all of a sudden it's gone again? What are we doing?
Yes, that's Turlough.
Oh, it's why he's so terrible. Why do people think I would like him?
Because people really want you to like people, Julie.
Well, in real life, I really do like people, but these people are not real. And oh my gosh, I have opinions. Anyway.
Well, I think we were talking about another new metric, the unnecessary goo count. We surely had a lot this time. And also, while we're out on things that were not done well, I absolutely love how ridiculously cheap the manipulator looks. Just random wires poking out of cotton.
Oh, the snow globe, except it's made with straws and cotton balls. Yes.
Oh, top notch, folks. Top notch.
I did have a little bet with myself as to whether Riley or Diana would be more grossed out by all the oozing. My money was on Diana.
It has to be me. I hated every second of it. It's so gross.
It wasn't going to be me. It was either Diana or Riley.
That's why I didn't include you in it, Julie.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
I think it was just, for some reason, more ridiculous and over the top this time that it didn't bother me, while other times it just felt truly unnecessary. This was kind of taking that level of basic gore, which could be revolting, but then if you do it over the top, then it just kind of becomes funny. I think that's what happened to me with this one.
And I don't even like, in any death scene, I'm never into choked by your own liquefaction. That is just horrifying to my sensibilities. I did enjoy at least the fact that it looked like modern, like Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah.
I did kind of enjoy that, but then the revulsion of, oh my God, suffocating from Nickelodeon slime is, ugh.
It's a very bloody, very Shakespearean style ending to part 4, where everyone's on the floor. I would not want to clean that floor. I can promise you that. And I think there's a part in that where even Turlough is just aggressively just takes one out execution style. I mean, right on the floor. It is intense, and I don't feel like it was earned.
And everybody died. Except for me. You know what? Oh, sorry. I was going Weird Al on everybody.
Oh.
How does the Doctor get the thing to work without an implant?
You mean just him sticking his head in there?
Yeah.
Just because the plot needed it?
Yeah.
Because the plot needed it.
It's the thing in Fallout when your stats are so low that your critical luck can go real high.
Oh, wow.
If you have the right perk.
Oh, man. Diana, thank you for that call. That reminded me. That is so great. That gives me some good nostalgic memories there. Thank you.
It helps. I've been playing Fallout 4 this week.
Nice.
But that's the vibe it gave me, was he just stumbled the luck into that.
Yeah.
Honestly, when Turlough's telling the doctor that everyone's dead, I really wanted it to really lean into the very first episode of Red Dwarf, where Holly the computer is telling Lister that everyone's dead. And he's like, what, everyone? Yes, Dave, everyone's dead. What, Peterson? Yep, he's dead. Everyone's dead, Dave. I really wanted the doctor to be like, everyone. Yes, doctor, everyone. And then he says there should have been another way. Yes, this should have been much better written to give them another way.
Well, and what did he think was going to happen? He watched that gas kill the one in front of him and watched him mucus to death. And then what? He dilutes it a little bit and feeds it through the air system. He didn't have any kind of a cure for it. He didn't have an antibiotic. Like, you're pumping poison gas through the vents. Of course they're all going to die.
Yeah. This was actively bad.
I can see what they were trying to do with this ending. Obviously, we have with the two warring human factions that we don't really get to see much of this other side other than Dr. Solo and her other co-conspirator. Obviously, this is an analogy for the Cold War, and we wanted to get kind of a mutually assured destruction kind of ending, but we are doing it with the Silurians and the Sea Devils instead. And so it's trying to give that somber, this should have been another way than us keep building up nuclear arms in this arms race kind of thing. And it just doesn't hit. It really doesn't. And yeah, it just doesn't feel earned. It's okay for the doctor to have a moment of kind of depressed reflection, but it just doesn't work here.
To add to that, Byrne didn't intend on having everyone killed. Iktar, Vorshak, and Preston were all meant to survive, and Saywood came in and just went, nope, I'm going to rewrite this and kill everyone, because I'm Eric Saywood.
Oh.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe the original Johnny Byrne version would have been good.
Well, and I would have even been okay with this ending if they had given the doctor a little bit more time, honestly, at the end, and had a moment where he has to contend with the fact that this is his fault. This is because he is not active enough and he is not thinking ahead enough. And if they had given this moment of clear self-reflection instead of there should have been another way and then immediately cut to credits, give me the Adrix badge on the credits. There's something that says that the doctor realizes that this is his bad. This is his fault.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's aching for a 12th Doctor style monologue or even a Genesis of the Daleks 4th Doctor type monologue to really let us into the character. That may have helped a lot with me and other people that may have felt that way about the 5th Doctor, but he's our guidance here. He's what the show is about, and for him to just been, oh dang, there should have been another way. It's like, well, can we talk about that a little bit? Can you tell us how you feel about that? Like how that moves you, just other than just a slight disappointment? I mean, come on.
Even if they had that, I know that it's wildly overused in the forums and everything, but that moment of 10 being rained on.
Yeah.
When he's realizing he's lost his mind and made decisions that are bad. If they'd had something like that, it would have at least made this doctor feel like a entity, but he's just so empty.
Yeah, there's no depth. Don't worry. Next time, I'm sure we'll see him in a better mood, cutting into his companions and telling them that they're stupid. It'll be great.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of this story. And before we go ahead and rate it, running metrics. I feel like this should get 2 points on the cam count. 1 for the karate and 2 for the junk in the trunk of the Myrka.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the eye makeup and the
Oh, well, we can bump
hair.
it to 3 for the eye makeup and hair.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right. Anyone catch any I'll explain laters?
No, I would love when we get to the retrospective in the 5th Doctor, what the tally is on him for that, because I think maybe that's part of the problem.
It's gonna get worse. No quarries were harmed in the making of this story, and there were no jelly babies. So let's go ahead and score this. Diana, over to you.
There's so much about this story that I actually want to like so badly. From the Silurians to the Sea Devils, I love those characters. I really love the idea of a sea base. I actually thought that the set design, while it was beautiful, everything looked too thin to be underwater, and I had a hard time with the flimsiness of what the sea base looked like. And so there were definitely a lot of pitfalls in this story. But my biggest frustration has to be with everything surrounding the Doctor, which means I just can't enjoy this story because if I can't enjoy the Doctor, what are we doing here? it's Doctor Who. And so while a lot of this I actually do enjoy, I enjoy the story, I enjoy the potential setup for the Silurians' motivation. I love seeing them. I love seeing the Sea Devils, even if they were tipsy the whole time. But I'm still coming down on this pretty hard because of the Doctor himself. And so I'm going to give it probably 4 other ways there probably could have been if only you had higher stats.
Well, I'll go next. And this was trash.
End of rating.
Yeah, there were some good ideas here, but it was poorly executed. I question Saywood's rewrites because I do wonder how much got messed up in him just arbitrarily deciding to kill everyone off. I question some of the production decisions, like, hey, Ingrid Pitt saying, I should karate fight the Myrka. Why did they say yes to that? The lighting's off. This should have been brilliant, and it sucked. The way that the Silurians and the Sea Devils are reconceptualized, yeah, those costumes actually do look pretty good, although the flashing third eye makes no sense. But the whole, well, now we're just generic monsters because fuck you, didn't work for me. I think I'm frustrated with this because this had potential. This is not 4 to Doomsday, which, in my opinion, there was no salvaging. This had potential, and it was just so badly mismanaged. And on top of that, it's the season opener. Come on, guys, you're better than that. We've now had 3 disappointing season openers in a row, and I actually think this is the worst of the 3. So I'm going to give this 2 pantomime horses with junk in their trunk out of 10. Please never do this shit again, guys. Julie, over to you next.
Yeah, this is bad. Everyone got my opinion of that very, very early on, to the point where, I couldn't comment much about it. There was such potential, and they ruined that potential, and then forcing things to happen on a timeline that was not going to be practical and not worth it. And the direction's bad, lighting is bad. Things didn't really work in any sort of capacity. So I'm going to give it 3. Yes, I resorted to ChatBTT out of 10.
All right, and last but not least, Riley.
I did not dislike this as much as everyone else did, but I do agree this was poorly executed. It was your basic, classic Cold War analogy science fiction story done poorly, but what do we get? We get an interesting setting. I enjoyed the sets, even though the lighting wasn't great. I enjoy seeing the Sea Devils in their wobbly, ridiculous costumes. I find them interesting and amusing. There was one good Doctor moment. There was some good humor there, intentional humor, outside the fart joke. And I try to look at these sometimes of whether the serial that I watch, either if it moves me one way or the other, or if it angers me, like it seems to have angered Anthony for good reason. I've been in those shoes before. It didn't hit me that way, maybe because my expectations are lower. I just thought visually it was kind of stupid and fun to look at, and that was just enough for me. Maybe my expectations are just really that low. So I'm going to wrap it up by giving this 4 Sea Devils ASMR videos out of 10.
And before I give the average for this, Riley. Is he the Doctor yet?
I have got to start giving different humorous replies to this so I can be prepared. I will do that next time, but for now it will just be a simple no.
We only have 5 stories left.
Oh, man.
And I'm almost at the point where I'm about to revoke his title.
Diana's going to flip. It's going to be great.
Oh, boy. Well, based on all of our scores, that gives us a story average of 3.25. Which is the worst rating since The King's Demons, so only 2 stories ago, so not really that bad, but yeah, not good.
At what point do I start working on my metrics specifically to make this our 15th worth story?
Well, I can tell you where it is right now. Right now, it comes in as joint 7th worst.
Okay, so we just gotta find a few more.
It is in the fine company of The Smugglers and Revenge of the Cybermen. It is better than The King's Demons, though, so,
We kept that consistent as well.
Yeah. This does mean Terminus has been bumped out of the bottom 10, so Terminus fans will be happy. Anyway. Yeah, you're welcome.
There are dozens of us. Dozens of us.
Well, on that note, that brings us to the end of this episode. We will be back next time when we're off to an English Civil War lop in The Awakening. But in the meantime, thank you so very much for listening. And of course, until next time, have a good one. You have been listening to Watchers in the Fourth Dimension with Diana Burney, Riley Schreck, Julie Philippek, and myself, Anthony Williams. This episode, The Sea Derps, was recorded on Tuesday the 2nd of December 2025. If this is your first time listening into the show, all of our previous episodes are available wherever you like to get your podcasts. You can also interact with us on Facebook and Instagram at Watchers4D, by email at watchers4d@gmail.com, and also on our Discord server, and a link to that is in the show blurb. If you're enjoying the show, please do subscribe and consider leaving us a review or rating on your favorite podcasting app. All of those things really do help the show. And always remember, everybody was kung fu fighting, even when it was wildly inappropriate.